Hey guys, this is January 2022, paper 1, so 1H. Okay, simplify this. So easy start guys, add the powers, we get a to the power of 11. 7 plus 4 is 11. Here, subtract the powers. W to the power of 12. This one, slightly more tricky. You have to do 8 squared is 64. X to the 5 squared is x to the 10, and y cubed squared is y to the 6. So the final answer is 64 x to the 10 y to the 6. Make t the subject. Okay, firstly guys, I'll just swap them. T cubed minus 8v equals c. I've just said this equals this. Then I'll add 8v, so c plus 8v, add that to the side. And then to get rid of the cube, I get the cubed root. So t is equal to the cubed root. I put a little, 8v, and I put a little 3 here. The cubed root. Okay, that's question 1. Question 2. Daniel, Gabriel, and Haley share some money in this ratio. The difference between the amount of money Gabriel gets and Hadley receives is 996 euros. Work at the amount of money that Daniel receives. Okay, that's not actually that easy, guys. So we're going to do, let's just say D to G to H is 3 to 5. Let me write that 3 again, guys. 3 to 5 to 9. And it says the difference between the amount of money that Gabriel receives and the amount of money that Hadley receives is 196 euros. Okay, so what I am going to do, guys, is I'm going to say let one part. Okay, so do you remember guys when we would normally, if you're splitting an amount in a ratio, you'd add these up to find out what the part is. So that would be 17. So you'd divide by 17 to split it into 17 parts. I'm going to say let one part be x. So Daniel has 3x amounts of money, 3x euros or whatever. He has 5x euros and he has 9x euros. Now he's saying that Gabriel here earns 194 euros more than, the difference between the amount Gabriel receives and the amount is 196 euros. So he earns 96 euros more than him. So my equation that I'm going to set up, as I say guys, this isn't easy. 9x is 5x plus 196. I have to add on this 196 to make them equal, because he is 196 more than him. So subtract 5x, 9x minus 5x is 196, 9x minus 5x is 4x, and then I just divide by 4. This divided by 4, I will do it in my head, guys. It is 4 remainder 3 and 9. Okay, so x is 49, and it says work out the amount of money that Daniel receives. Well, Daniel receives 3 of these, so I need to go Daniel gets 3x, so 3 times 49 is equal to 147. So Daniel gets 147 euros. Okay, tricky start guys for question 2. Okay, question 3. Work out the length of the side AB, right? This is fairly straightforward. So katoa. So it's so ka toa. This is the angle. We want the opposite. Let's call it x. So we want the opposite. Tick O for opposite. We have the hypotenuse. Tick for the hypotenuse. The one with the 2 ticks. So is the one we're going to use. So I'm going to use sine. So sine of 65, sine of the angle, is equal to opposite, which is x, over hypotenuse, which is 8.4. That's my equation. And then to find x, we multiply by this denominator. So it's 8.4 times sine 65. 8.4 times sine 65 is 7.613. X is equal to 7. Sorry, what did I say? 7.613. And he says to 3 significant figures. So 1, 2, 3. So it's 7.61 centimeters to 3 significant figures. Question 4. Okay, I always don't like these questions, guys, because there's so many things going on. So Sarah makes and sells mugs. One day she makes 150 mugs. Her total cost for making these mugs is this. Of these mugs, this many are small, this many are medium, this many are large. Here is her price list for selling each mug. Fine. She sells all 150 mugs. Work out her percentage profit, right? So it's testing loads of things, obviously. So we have 150 mugs. Let's first figure out small. Okay, small I'll do in red. 2/5 are small, so I'll do 2/5 of 150 is equal to, you could do 2/5 times 150 or divide by 5, multiply by 2. Either way, if you divide by 5, you get 30. 30 times 2 is 60. So there's 60 small mugs. 32% are medium. Okay, medium. 32% of 150. Now I'm going to do 150 times 0.32. That's how I get 32%. So 150 times 0.32 is 48, right? That's a nice number. And then the rest are large. So large has to be whatever's left out of 150. So it's 150 minus 60 minus 48 or minus 108, because these two together are 108, and that leaves me with 42. Okay, so now I have 60 small. So here I have 60 small, 48 medium, and 42 large. She sells them all. Work out her percentage profit. So I'm going to do this times this, this times this, and this times this to give me how much money she makes in total. Now, guys, I wouldn't write the way I'm writing here, although you could, but you can do your working down here. Anyway, 850 or 8.5 times 60 is 510. So she makes $510 or pounds from this. Okay. Then 1120 times 48. Oh, what did I do there? 1120 times 48 is 537.60. 537.60. And then large 1420 times 42, which is 596.4. 596.4 or 0.40. Now I'm going to add these up, which will give me the total amount of money that she, well, not her profit, but the amount of money that she takes in on that day. So it's this plus 537.60 plus 510, which is 1644. So this is 1644. Okay, therefore her profit is this, the total amount of money that she takes in, minus the cost. That's what profit is. It's how much money you you take in minus how much money it costs. So it's how much money it costs to make the product. 1644 minus 1140, and we get 504. So her profit is 504. The question, however, says work out her percentage profit. Her percentage profit is her profit, 504, out of the original 1140 multiplied by 100. That will give me her profit as a percentage of the cost, essentially, and that gives me 504 divided by 1140 times 100, which gives me 44.21%, rounded to the nearest whole number, 44%. Okay, as I say, guys, those questions are always difficult, and that one is no exception. Okay, next one. Jenny has 6 cards. Each number has a whole number written on it. The smallest number is 5, the largest number is 24, that's given. The median of the 6 numbers is 14, and the mode is 8. Okay, if the mode is 8, guys, I like these questions. They're not easy, but I like them. If the mode is 8, we have to have at least 2 cards that's 8, and the other cards are all going to be different. So this has to be 8 because it's in order. It's in order of size. And this has to be 8 because I need at least 2. This can't be 8 because the median is here. The median is bang in the middle of these 2 cards because it's the middle. The median. So the median, which is 14, has to be halfway between 8 and this card here. So this card has to be, if I do 8 plus 6 gives me 14, 14 plus 6 gives me 20. This has to be 20. Okay, so find the remaining 4 cards, writing on each dotted line a number that could be on the card. Okay, so this has to be, well, this is 5, this has to be 8, and this has to be 8, and this has to be 20. This one can be any number between 20 and 24, not including 20 and 24. So it can be 21, 22, or 23. I'll just put 21. But 22 and 23 are both fine. Okay, so that's done. Next part, it says, this is a totally different part, I think. Okay, yes. So a basketball team plays 6 games. After playing 5 games, the team has a mean score of 21 points. After playing 6 games, the team has a mean score of 23 points. Work out the number of points they scored in the 6th game. Right. These questions are also quite tricky. So 5 games, their mean is 21. Okay, so if their mean is 21, let's do after 5 games. That means they scored on average 21 points in total. So their total is 5 times 21, which is 105. Because on average they scored 21 points. They played 5 games, so their total score over the 5 games is 105. Then it says after playing 6 games, the mean score is 23. So the number of points is going to be X. Let's call this X, how much they scored in the 6th game. And that means 105 plus X, that whatever they scored in the 6th game, divided by 6, because now it's out of 6 games. This has to equal 23. That's the difficult bit, and then you can solve this however you want. You need to add a number, divide by 6 to give you 23. The best way to do it is you just multiply this by 6. 23 times 6 is, do I need a calculator? Why not? 23 times 6 is 138. And then X is 138 minus 105, which is 33. So they scored 33 in the last game. Okay, not an easy question. 6a. Solve this. This is fine, guys, because you can solve it just like an equation. You add 7 to the other side and you divide by 5. So it's just x is less than or equal to 9 over 5 or 1.8. Then factorize this. So we're going to have two brackets. This one, bracket, bracket. This is going to be y and y. And I need to put numbers here that multiply together to give 35 and add together to give 2. So think of what factors of the factors of 35 add together to give minus 2. Well, the answer is minus 7 and 5, because minus 7 plus 5 gives me minus 2. So this is going to be minus 7 and plus 5. Okay. Then it says hence solve this. So once you've got the factors, the solutions are easy. The solutions are just 7 and minus 5. So y equals 7 or y equals minus 5. That is because the solution when it equals 0 is when either this is 0, hence y is 7, or this is 0, hence y is negative 5. Okay. Question 7. This is the universal set 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 4 to 15. Then the A intersection B, which is the middle, is 5, 10, 15, right? So this is going to be 5, 10, 15. Not in B, or B complement, so these are the numbers that are not in B, is 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, and 14. And not in A is 4, 6, 7, 8, and 14. Okay, so this is actually an interesting question, or slightly different to what I'm used to. We need to find out what's in both not in A and not in B, and I'm going to write this down here. I want what's not in A, and not in B. Now, if I can figure out what's not in A and not in B, then I know what's on the outside, because this is what's not in A and not in B. So, not in A and not in B is basically what's common here. So we have the 7, we have the 8, and we have the 14. And that's it, 7, 8, and 14. So on the outside, I'm going to put 7, 8, and 14. And now, the ones that are not in B here, the 9, 11, 12, and 13, well, they have to be in this, 9, 11, 12, and 13. And the ones that are not in A, but not in the yellow here, 4 and 6, they have to be in B, because they're not in A, but they're not in this outside bit. So that is, that's correct. Question 8. A is this, B is this. Work out the value of A times B and give your answer in standard form. So guys, this is, they've started doing this now. They give you numbers that your calculator can't handle. Let's just check it out. 4.2 times 10 to the power of negative 24 times 3 times 10 to the power of 145. Your calculator can't deal with it because this number here, 10 to the power of 145, is a crazy, crazy big number. So calculator can't cope with it. At least my one can't. So I need to do it the kind of old school way. It's A times B is equal to this 4.2 times 10 to the minus 24 times 10 to the power of 145. Okay, so, sorry, I forgot the 3. What am I doing? Times 3 times 10 to the power of 145. Now, I'll just rearrange it slightly. So I can do 4.2 times 3 times 10 to the minus 24 times 10 to the power of 145. I can do that because obviously one or 2 times 3 times 4 is the same as 3 times 2 times 4, or 4 times 3 times 2. They're all the same thing. So I can just swap these around, no problem. And the reason I've done that is because now I'll just do the 4.2 times 3 is 12.6. You can do that on your calculator if you want. And then the tens, this is like a rules of indices question. I add the powers. So I do minus 24 plus 145. Minus 24, let's go back here, minus 24 plus 145. So I can use my calculator a bit, but not to do the whole thing. So that's 121. So this is 12.6 times 10 to the power of 121. This isn't, however, in standard form, so I have to turn it into standard form. The way I do it is I make this one 10 times smaller, because I need to write this as 1.26 times 10 to the power of. But I've made this smaller. I've divided by 10. So if I can just divide this by 10 without doing anything to this. So if I divide this by 10, I have to multiply this by 10. Hence I get 122, because I'm just going to add 1 to this power, which is the same as multiplying by 10. And that's it. That's the answer, guys, for question 8. Question 9. Isosceles triangle. Calculate the area of the triangle. Probably the easiest way to do this, guys, is easiest way to do it, I think, is just to do it like this. We're going to get the height and using Pythagoras, and I know that this distance here is 14 because it's half of 28. So let's get h squared plus 14 squared, this is Pythagoras' theorem, equals 17.5 squared. H squared equals 17.5 squared minus 14 squared, and then h is just the square root of this 17.5 squared minus 14 squared. 17.5 squared minus 14 squared gives me 110.25. 110.25. Hang on, that's definitely not right, but that's because I didn't put that in a square root. So I'm going to do square root answer, and that's 21/2, or 10.5. That's better. Notice, guys, I looked at the triangle and realized there's no way that could be 100 and anything. Okay, so that's the height. So the area is just a half base times height, which is a half. The base is 28, and the height is now 10.5. And we have a half of 28 is 14, so it's just 14 times 10.5. 14 times 10.5, which is 147. 147 centimeters squared. Put it here. Okay, that's question 9. Question 10. The straight line L has equation of this, find the gradient of L. So guys, we have to first rearrange this so that it is in the form y equals mx plus c. So I'm going to subtract the 7x from this side like this. Then I'm just going to swap the minus 7x plus 10. So what I've done is I've swapped the 7x and the 10, and then I'll divide by 2. Now I have to divide this by 2, so it's minus 7x over 2 plus 10 over 2, which is 5. But that gives me the m now. So this equation is minus 7 over 2x mx, that's the same thing as this, plus 5. So the gradient of L is minus 7 over 2. Then Then it says the coordinates of the point where it crosses the y-axis. Well, 5 is the y-intercept, but you have to put 0, 5, because it's the x-coordinate is always 0 on the y-axis. Okay, question 11. Here, Marie invests 200,000 for 3 years in a savings account, paying compound interest. The rate is this for the first year. It's this for the first year, and then this for each of the second and third years. Then the value at the end of the 3 years is this. Find the value of x. Okay, so this is not an easy compound interest question. How do we do compound interest? Normally, we get our 200,000, and we multiply by 1.018 for 1.8%. 1.18 would be 18%. And then we multiply by the next interest rate for the second year. Now imagine if it was 5%, we'd multiply by 1.05 times 1.05 twice, because it's second year and a third year. Now it's not 5%, so I'm not going to multiply by 1.05. But I'm also not going to multiply by 1.0x or anything crazy like that, or 1.x or x. I'm going to actually multiply by something else, which I'm going to call it y, because it's a multiplier, multiplying by this multiplier. So this y will be 1.0, it'll be 1.04, 1.05, whatever that is, and then I'll be able to get my x value. If y was 1.05, I know x is 5 because it's that percentage. Okay, so I'm going to multiply by y, but I'm going to multiply by y again because of the 2 years. So it's y squared. And this is equal to 209,754. Okay, now I'll just do the 200,000 times 1.018, 203,600. So this is 203,600. Y squared equals this. Then I can get y squared by dividing. So it's 209,754 divided by 203,600. And this is equal to 209,754 over 203,600, which is 1.030225 or whatever. Let's do 1.0302. I'm going to put ... because that means I'll use the calculator's answer. And then y is equal to the square root of this, square root of the answer, which is 1.015. 1.015, and it was actually 000, which kind of makes me think I'm probably right. Okay, and then if this is y, this was my point, y is the multiplier, which means x, therefore x is equal to 1.5. So x, it's this, because the multiplier is this, which means the percentage is 1.5%. Okay, that is question 11. Question 12. Okay, this is a nice question, guys. We can definitely all do this. It's a cumulative frequency table. So essentially we're just adding on the previous one. So 26 plus 7 is, first I put 7, then plus 26 is 33, plus 24 is 57, plus 14 is 71, plus 7 is 78, and plus 2 is 80, which is what I expected, 80 customers. On the grid opposite, or just here, draw a cumulative frequency graph, right? So it's 10, 7. I need to go to 10, 7. There. So you always use the end point of this. So 10, 7, 20, 33, 20, 33, 30, 57, 30, 57. Just be very careful, guys. This 55, 56, 57. These are all going up in ones, so it's easy. 40, 71. 40, 71. 50, 78. 50, 78. And then it was 60, 80. Okay. Now, guys, I always complain that this is very difficult for me with my Wacom tablet, but so whatever I do here, make sure you do better. You have to join the points. It has to go through each point, and it has to be curved. It can't be just straight lines. That, guys, is actually probably my best ever effort, right? Kind of just missed this one and this one a bit, but that's not bad at all. But it's important to get it right, because then if you want to get the median, you're going to use your graph. So they always give a range of acceptable answers here, but I need to, if it's the median, I need to half 80, which is 40, go to 40, cross, and then down. So this looks like, I don't know, it's halfway between 22 and 23. Let's just go with, let's round it to 22, and that is in the accepted range. Okay, so an estimate for the mean is 22 minutes. Then he says, one of the customers is chosen at random. Use your graph to find an estimate for the probability that the time taken by this customer is more than 42 minutes, right? So I need to go to 42 here, 42 minutes this time it is. We go up to here, across to here, and let's say this is 73. So that means 80 minus 73 is 7. So approximately 7 people, and guys, it'll again give you a range of acceptable answers depending on your curve, but 7 people approximately took more than 42 minutes, which means the probability is 7 out of 80, or it will accept 8 out of 80, or whatever your graph says. In fact, it will accept any, as long as you've done it correctly for your graph, it'll accept any answer, because there's something called a follow through, so they're not going to penalize you again. Okay, expand and simplify this. Right, so these guys are quite familiar questions. You have to do them 2 at a time. I like to do the 2 brackets first. So x plus 2 times 3x minus 4. And we do this times this, this times this, this times this, and this times this. X times 3x is 3x squared. X times minus 4 is minus 4x. 2 times 3x is plus 6x. 2 times minus 4 is minus 8. And this is equal to 3x squared plus 2x minus 8. Okay, but we need to multiply all of this by 5x. So it's 5x times 3x squared plus 2x minus 8. We do this times this, this times this, and this times this. So 5x times 3x squared is 15x cubed. 15x cubed plus 10x squared, this times this, and then this times this is minus 40x, and that is correct. Okay, part B, simplify this. Okay, first thing to do, guys, is get rid of the negative power. So the way to get rid of the negative is you flip it upside down. So it's y to the 20 over 16w to the 8 all to the power of 3/4. So we flip it upside down and change the power to positive. Okay, then you do each of these things separately. We do y, and you have to do all of them to the power of 3/4. Y to the 20 to the power of 3/4. Well, actually, guys, let me do them separately down here. This is I think the third rule usually we say of indices, where you multiply the powers. So 20 times 3/4 is 15, so that's y to the power of 15. 16 to the power of 3/4, I'd like to think, guys, you can do that without a calculator. It's 16, the fourth root of 16 is 2, and 2 cubed is 8, but you do have a calculator, so you could just do that with a calculator. And then finally, w to the 8 to the power of 3/4. You have to do everything to the power of 3/4. This is just the same as this one. We multiply the powers. So 8 times 3/4 is 6. So this is w to the power of 6. So this answer is, it is, the numerator is y to the 15, and the denominator is 8w to the power of 6. And you can put that there. Okay, question 14. Aika has 2 packets of seeds, packet A and packet B. 12 seeds in packet A and 7, in packet A, and 7 of these are sunflower seeds. 15 seeds in packet B, and 8 of these are sunflower seeds. She's going to take at random a seed from packet A and packet B, complete the tree diagram, right? So, first she's doing packet A. 7 out of 12, this has to be 5 out of 12. Then she's going to pick out of packet B. 8 of 15 are in packet B, so this is 8 out of 15, which means this has to be 7 out of 15. These add up to 1. These are the same, guys, because packet A is not dependent on packet B. So this is 8 out of 15, same as this, and this is 7 out of 15, same as this. Okay, part B, calculate the probability she takes 2 sunflower seeds. So that is, I like to just get out my highlighter, guys, and go sunflower, sunflower. So it's just this times this. 7/12 times 8/15. 7/12 times 8/15, which is equal to, calculator please, 7/12 times 8/15 is 14/45. Okay, that, guys, that was actually a nice, easy question. 14 out of 45. 15. A is inversely proportional to C squared. A equals 40 when C equals 1.5. Calculate C when A is 1,000. Okay, so let's start with that sentence. A is inversely proportional. So we put in this proportional sign, and that means A is proportional to 1 over C squared. Because it says inversely, I do 1 over C squared. Or you could go straight to this line and just say A equals K over C squared, because that's what proportional means, that there's some constant K that we can multiply by to get A. Okay, he says A is 40 when C is 1.5. Let's sub in the values. A is 40 when C is 1.5. But it's 1.5 squared because it's C squared. Then I multiply across. So it's 40 times 1.5 squared. So K is equal to 40 times 1.5 squared. 40 times 1.5 squared. 90. Nice whole number. So K is equal to 90. That means, go back to this one, A equals 90 over C squared. And then he says, find the value of C when A is 1,000. Okay, so there's a bit of rearranging here, guys. We're now going to sub 1,000 in for A. So A is 1,000, and we're going to try and find C. So it's 90 over C squared. The way to do this is multiply across. C squared, well, 1,000 C squared. Let's do that step first. So I do this times this equals 90. Multiply across. Then I divide by the 1,000. So C squared is 90 over 1,000. And C is the square root of 90 over 1,000. Guys, I can do that in my head. Watch this. Cross out the zeros, divide it by 10. Square root of 9 is 3, and the square root of 100 is 10. Obviously, you could do that in your with your calculator as well. So it's just 3/10. Okay. Question 16. So we have a circle, center O, length of the arc ABC is 5 centimeters. So this is 5 here, this length. This is an arc from here to here. It says, given that the angle is 55, work out the area of the circle. Calculate your answer correct to 1 decimal place. Right. To find the area of the circle, we need pi, which we know, and we need the radius. Do we have the radius? No, we don't. So your first thought should be right. I need to find the radius. And how do we get the radius? Well, we're going to use this information that he gave us. So the length of an arc length is equal to, and this is in the formula booklet, I'm pretty sure, it's equal to 2 pi r. Actually, guys, I need to check if it is in the formula sheet because I always forget. Oh, sorry, it's not. Right, this is not in the formula sheet, so you need to know it. Okay, so the arc length is 2 pi r. This is the circumference. This is the full circumference of a circle. But the arc length is 2 pi r times the angle, the theta, let's call it some angle, over 360, because it's this fraction, this fraction of the circumference. Now we have an arc length, it's 5. So we can now say 2 pi r times theta, which is 55 out of 360. This equals 5. Okay. Now, how do we get the radius? Well, we know 2, we know pi, we know 55, and we know 360. Let's just do all that in one go at the side here, guys. I'm going to do 2 times pi. Forget about the radius for a second. I'll leave that there. Times 55 over 360. This gives me 11 over 36 pi r. So 11 over 36 pi times the radius equals 5. Now we're going to get the radius by, or guys, do you know what I'll do? Because this can get more complicated than it needs to be. Let's just turn this into a decimal. So this is 0.9599. 0.9599. 0.9599 or, because it's radius. So all of that times or is equal to 5. So the radius is 5 divided by this. It's 5 over 0.9599. And I can do that on my calculator. 5 over 0.9599, which is 5 point, I'll put in a few decimal places here, guys. 5.209. Let's round it to that. So it's 5.209. So the radius is this. Now the area of the circle is just pi times 5.209 squared. 5.209 squared is equal to this, times pi is equal to this, 85.2429, 85.2429, but he wants it to he wants it to 1 decimal place. So this is approximately equal to 85.2. And that's the answer. Question 16. Question 17. We have vase A, vase B, they are similar. Heights, fine. The difference between the volume of vase A and the volume of vase B is this. Calculate the volume of vase A. Okay, so not a straightforward question, but these questions, guys, when we're talking about similar shapes and there's volume or area, we always go, well, I always go scale factor, area factor, and volume factor. Like this. I don't even know what I need to find, but I can get the scale factor. The scale factor is 1.5 because scale factor is 15 over 10, which is 1.5. It's this divided by this. That's how you get the scale factor, 1.5. Okay, the area factor is then 1.5 squared, which is 2.25. And the volume factor is 1.5 cubed, which I don't know. 1.5 cubed is 3.375. 3.375. Okay, then he says, the difference between the volume of vase A and the volume of vase B is this. So that means the volume of and we're trying to find the volume of vase A. Let's call the volume of vase A X. We'll call this X. So the volume of vase A, the volume of vase A, the difference between the volume of vase A and the volume of vase B is this. Okay, so that means this 1197 is equal to the volume of vase A, the volume of vase A. Okay, sorry guys, the reason I'm confused is because, oh sorry, it says the difference between them. Okay, I'm not confused. Well, I was confused. Okay, so this guy's volume is X, and then that means this guy's volume is 3.375x. 3.375x, because his volume is, well, it's this multiplied by the volume factor. That's what the volume factor is. Okay, so the difference between these two, so I'm going to do 3.375 minus, sorry, 3.375x minus x, so the volume of B minus the volume of A, because it's the difference between them, is 1197. Calculate the volume of vase A. So now I just have to solve for x. 3.375x minus 1x is 2.375x. And this is equal to 1197 divided by 2.375, and hopefully guys this gives me the correct answer. So 1197 divided by 2.375, we get 504, which is correct. 504, and it is centimeters cubed, so I better write it here. 504 centimeters cubed. Okay, question 18. A is equal to w minus x squared over y. These are given to a certain number of decimal places. Work out a lower bound for the value of A. Okay, if you've seen me do these questions before, guys, you will see the way I kind of do it here. I write, we want to make A small. So when I say small, I mean lower bound. So we're going to make A small. We're going to make A small by making W small, because it's going to be W minus something. So the smaller W is, the smaller A is. We're going to subtract this. So we basically want to make this thing, we want to make this whole thing big, because we're by subtracting a big number, it will make a smaller. So to make that big, I'm going to make x squared big, or x will be big, and I'm going to make y small, because again, if I want this thing to be big, I want y to be small. So to clarify, to make a small, I make w small, I make x big, and I make y small. Okay, now once that's clear, we do this thing where I go x, or sorry, w, x, and w, x, and y. So this is w, this is x, this is y. W first, it's 3.45 to 2 decimal places. So I go up to 3.46 and I go down to 3.44. This one, x is 1.9, 1 decimal place. So I go up to 2.0 and down to 1.8, and y is 5 to the nearest whole number, so I go up to 6 and down to 4. Now to find the lower bounds, I do halfway between these. So halfway between these two is 3.4. Well, actually guys, I'll just do the one that we want. So I want w to be small, so I'm just going to do this one here. This is 3.445, halfway between these two. I want x, w is small, I want x to be big, so I'm going to do the upper bound. That's 1.95. I want y to be small, so that's the lower bound, which is 4.5. Okay, then I get these values and sub it into a. So a is equal to w, this 3.445, minus x squared, which is 1.95 squared, over y, which is 4.5. And this will give me a lower bound for a. So that's 3.445 minus 1.95 squared over 4.5, which is 13 over 5 exactly, which is 2.6, and that's correct. So the lower bound is 2.6. Okay, question 19. Solve the simultaneous equations. Okay, so we have one equation that is linear and one that is not linear. So we're essentially going to substitute, and this is already arranged in terms of, well, it's y is already the subject, it's y equals 2x minus 3. So I can just sub 2x minus 3 in for y. So whenever you see a y here, I'm going to put 2x minus 3. So we have 3x squared plus, instead of y squared, I'm going to put 2x minus 3 squared. That's y squared. Minus x times, instead of y, 2x minus 3. And this equals 5. So that's this equation, but instead of y, we've put this. Okay, this then becomes 3x squared plus 2x minus 3 times 2x minus 3, guys. If you want to do it at the side, 2x minus 3 squared is 2x minus 3 times 2x minus 3. 2x times 2x is 4x squared minus 6x. This times this minus 6x. This times this plus 9. So it's 4x squared minus 12x plus 9. That I'm going to sub in here. So this is 4x squared minus 12x plus 9. Then I'm going to multiply this out. Minus x times 2x is minus 2x squared. Minus x times minus 3 is plus 3x equals 5. Okay. Then we're going to simplify. So 3x squared plus 4x squared is 7x squared minus 2x squared is 5x squared. So that's 5x squared. Minus 12x plus 3x is minus 9x, and plus 9 minus 5 is 4, because I'm going to subtract this 5, so it's plus 4 equals 0. Okay, now I'm going to factorize this, and we get, okay, the factors of this, guys, are 5x and x. Actually, I'll do it this way that I think I mentioned at some point that I learned a new way of doing this, right? So I'm going to do, I call this A, B, C, and I say A times C is equal to 20, and then I need to find the factors of 20 that add up to -9. And the answer is, it's going to be -4 times -5, because -4 times -5 is 20, and -4 minus 5 is -9. Then I go 5x squared. By the way, guys, you can factorize this however you want. There's many ways to factorize a quadratic, and with the calculator you can do it if you can kind of reverse engineer from the answer. But anyway, you need to be able to factorize this. So it's 5x squared. I then do minus, let's go minus 5x minus 4x, because I split it into this, so it's minus 4x minus 5x, or minus 5x minus 4x, plus 4 equals 0. And then I factorize these two, so I take out the 5 and the x, and I'm left with x minus 1. And here I take out the 4, or the minus 4, and I'm left with x minus 1. And then the factors are 5x minus 4 times x minus 1, and this equals 0. Okay, and this then gives me solutions of 5x minus 4 equals 0, or x minus 1 equals 0. This one, 5x equals 4, x equals 4 over 5. And this one, x equals 1. Now guys, just to show you, on the calculator, you could have found these answers by going into here, equation, polynomial, degree 2, and I'm going to put in, because it is this quadratic, so it's going to be 5 minus 9 and 4, 5 minus 9 and 4, and it gives me the solutions 1 and 4 over 5. That's my 1 and 4 over 5. Okay, once I have x, I have to now get y. So guys, I'll call this 0.8. So when x is 0.8, y is 2 times 0.8 minus 3. Because of this, it's 2x minus 3. 2x minus 3. This is 2 times 0.8 is 1.6 minus 3 is negative 1.4. You can use your calculator if you want. And when x is 1, y is equal to 2 times 1 minus 3, which is negative 1. So my two solutions are x equals 0.8, y equals 1.4, and you can put a box around this if you want, and this one, x equals 1, y equals negative 1. Okay, that will do. Okay, and yeah, that's all it says, guys. Question 20. Express this in the form a plus b times x plus c squared, right? This, guys, I'm also going to use my calculator to show you how to do this. I'll show you the quick way with the calculator, and then the less quick way without the calculator. So go to equation, polynomial again, degree 2 again. This time, be careful, guys, it's minus 3, 12, and 7. It's going backwards. So it's minus 3, 12, and 7. And it gives me that x1, that x2, but more importantly, the max is at 219. So the max is at 219. And by the way, guys, this question here says point A is a maximum. What's the max? It's 219. So the max is at 219. Max at 219. So the equation is, it is, the minus 3 is all the same, always the same, so it's minus 3, it's x minus this squared plus 19. That's the answer. That's how you get it. And of course, you can write this as 19 minus 3 times x minus 2 squared, which is the correct answer, which is what they want. So this is 19 minus 3 times x minus 2 squared. Right, that's definitely the easy way. The hard way, guys, is to go, well, let's rewrite it like this: minus 3x squared plus 12x plus 7. So that's the same thing, but I've just put the minus 3x squared first, or swapped these two, but it's the same thing. I then take out the negative 3 out of these two, and I'm left with, in this bracket, I'm left with x squared minus, because I've taken out a minus 3, 4 x plus 7. So that's true because if I multiply out this bracket, it's minus 3x squared plus 12x. Okay, then I do this, completing the square bit inside here. So it's x minus 2 squared, because I half this, and then I subtract this squared, minus 4, because it's 2 squared, which is plus, and then plus 7. Then I multiply this out. I get minus 3 into x minus 2 squared times minus 3 times minus 4 is plus 12, and then plus 7, and then this gives me minus 3 x minus 2 squared plus 19. Now, obviously, this is way easier than this one. There are most mark schemes that I've seen, guys, accept this, except you get the full marks for this. Some of the mark schemes are a little bit more annoying and they expect you to see some of this working. My advice is, if you can do this and you understand it, do it. If not, definitely do it this way, because you can get the right answer pretty easily. And how nice is this? You get the answer straight away, and definitely if you just write down the answer here, you will you'll get it right. Okay, question 21. ABCD is a cross section of the prism where this is a square and this is an equilateral triangle. Right, fine. EF is 2 times AE, so this is double this. Maybe we could call this x and this 2x. Why not? M is the midpoint of GF, right? It's there. JM is vertical, okay, that's fine. Angle MAJ is y degrees. Okay, let's try and draw that, guys. So this is MAJ. So this angle here, and I might as well complete this triangle, guys, because this is that's a right angle there. And this angle here is y. Let's call this angle y. Given that tan of y is t, find the value of t, giving your answer in this form, right? Okay, obviously, guys, a super hard question where p and q are integers. Okay, right, how are we going to do it? Well, this is a square, so this is x, this is x, this is 2x. I need to find, I don't have any of the number. I don't have any number here, guys. But remember, tan is just a ratio. So I can find, well, the goal is to find the tan of t the tan of y in a ratio. So for example, if this was, let's say this was 10x and this is 20x, the tan of y is 10x over 20x, which is actually 1 over 2. So I can find it, but obviously it's not going to be that easy. So here we go. Right, this is x. The first thing I'm going to try and find, guys, is I'm going to find the height, right? So this height here, from here to here, is x. So this bit is x from here to here. I know that because this is a square. So this is x, this is x, this is x. The final bit up here, though, I'm going to have to use Pythagoras' theorem, and I'm going to have to use it with this pink triangle here. Let me draw this down a bit more. Okay, so I know that this is x because it is an equilateral triangle. And this is x, look, this is also x because it's a square. That's x, so that's x, and that's x. Okay, so this is x. This one here, this side, is x over 2 because it's half of that. And we are trying to find this height, let's call it h. So I can use Pythagoras' theorem, and I'm going to say h squared plus x over 2 squared equals x squared, or h squared plus x squared over 4 equals x squared. H squared equals x squared minus this, minus x squared over 4, and then h squared equals x squared over x squared minus x squared over 4 is actually 3x squared over 4. That is because this is x squared is 4x squared over 4. Okay, so h squared is this, which means h is the square root. It is the square root of this. Okay, it's the square root of 3x squared over 4. And that can be written as root 3, because it's the square root of 3, times the square root of x squared, which is x, over the square root of 4, which is 2. So h is this. Okay, so now I have this big, what are we going to call this? mj. Okay, so mj, that full distance here, from here to here, is equal to x plus this. So it's x plus root 3 over 2x. Okay, that is mj, and that's like my opposite, if you like. Let's call this the opposite. It's the opposite of y. Okay, the tan, guys, we know is the opposite over the adjacent. So now let's find the adjacent. How are we going to find it? Well, we're going to find it using this triangle here. Now that goes to here. That's the midpoint there. This goes to here. And now we have this triangle at the bottom. So this triangle here, let me try and draw it for you. Okay, I'm trying to find this here. Let's actually call it A for adjacent, because this is going to be the adjacent. This is 2x, because this is this length here, and that length is 2x. And then this length, by the way, guys, I'm well aware this question is like super duper hard. This length is x over 2 because it's half of x. So we need to find A. This is a right angle, so A is the, well, again, we're going to use Pythagoras. So a squared is equal to this squared plus this squared. 2x squared plus x over 2 squared, which is 4x squared plus x squared over 4. And this is equal to 4x squared, which is 16x squared over 4. I'm just doing common denominator, guys. 16x squared over 4 plus 1x squared over 4 equals 17x squared over 4. And this is a squared is equal to this. A is then equal to the square root of this, the square root of 17x squared over 4. And a bit like I did up here, the square root of 17 is root 17. The square root of x squared is x, and the square root of 4 is 2. Okay, so this is the adjacent. So let me write that here. The adjacent, well, let's actually, guys, I'll just write it here. This is the adjacent. So now I have my adjacent, this thing here, this is my A for adjacent. The opposite, which is this full thing, MJ. So I can say the tan of y is the opposite, which is this. It is x plus root 3 over 2x, that is the opposite, over the adjacent, which is root 17 over 2x. So that's like a fraction within a fraction. So this is tan y. I'm going to go down, guys. I'm going to simplify this. We're going to turn it into this. So the first thing to note is I can cancel the x's. I can divide above by x. Divide this by x is 1. Divide this by x, it's root 3 over 2. I can then divide this by x, it's root 17 over 2. Okay, now I am nearly, well, I'm not actually nearly there. Well, I guess I'm nearly there. I'm going to add 1 plus root 3 over 2 here. Now, guys, if you're struggling with, there's a lot of quite difficult simplifying here, but if you want, look at the numerator there. It's 1 plus root 3 over 2. They actually write it, they do that for you. It's 2 plus root 3 over 2. So just if you're struggling with this, you can use your calculator to help you a bit. So this is 2 plus root 3 over 2. That's just the numerator, all divided by root 17 over 2. Now, this is equal to, remember when we divide fractions, we keep the numerator, or keep the first one, change into multiply, so it's this times, and we flip the second one. So that's how we divide fractions. Keep, change, flip, some people use. So it's this times this. Now look what happens. The 2's cancel there and there. Now you could at this stage, guys, just cancel these 2's. That's allowed, but just to be clear why you're doing that, it's because of this. And this gives us, we are nearly there now, 2 plus root 3 over 17, sorry, 2 plus root 3 over root 17, but he doesn't want it in this form, he wants it in this form. So I'm going to multiply above and below by root 17 to rationalize this denominator. So it's 2 plus root 3 over root 17, and I'm going to multiply above and below by root 17. I'm just multiplying by 1 essentially, and this finally gives me 2 times root 17. Actually, there's one more step after this, guys, sorry. 2 times root 17. 2 times root 17 plus root 3 times root 17. So this times this plus this times this. And root 17 times root 17 is 17, which is why we did it. And again, guys, you could put it into your calculator at this stage, but I'll just finish it off for you, because he wants it in this form where it's root p plus root q. Now this isn't root p, but I can change the way to turn this into a single root is I can change this into root 4 times root 17 plus root 3 times root 17 all over 17. And then I can just multiply these out. 4 times 17 is 68, so this is root 68. Root 3 times root 17 is root 51. And then all over 17. And that's the final answer. So guys, yeah, I'm well aware that is really, really challenging. But there you go. That is IGCSE. And that is t, guys, because t is the tan of y. So this is the answer. It's root 68 plus root 51 all over 17. Okay, question 22. So we have a diagram OAB, this triangle. It says OA is 8A. So let's put that in first. This here, guys, O to A is 8A. And then it says OB is 6B. But M is the point such that OM to MB is 1 to 2. So 1 to 2 is the same as, that ratio 1 to 2 is the same as 2 to 4. And I've got 6. So this will be 2B and this will be 4B. That's the ratio 1 to 2, and it adds up to 6B. Okay, so then it says N is the midpoint of BA or AB, fine. And P is the point of intersection between ON and MA. Find OP in terms of A and B, right? So guys, the first time I saw this type of question, I thought it was really, really hard, and I still think it's really, really hard. But I've started to see a pattern now. They often look quite similar. So it's the same kind of strategy. Still very, very difficult, don't get me wrong, but this is how you do it. So we're going to get from O to P, and we're going to get there in 2 different ways. The first way is I'm going to go straight across. It's going to be a fraction, some fraction of ON. So there's ON, but I'm only going to get that much. So I'm only going to get that fraction, some fraction of ON. The second way I'm going to get there is I'm going to go from O to M and M to P. Now similarly, MP will be some fraction of MA. I'm going to get I'm going to get from O to P in two different methods, and then I'm going to equate them, and that will get me OP. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, firstly, let's do this one, this O, straight from O to P. So OP is equal to, it is equal to, sorry, an OP, ON. I'm going to get ON first. ON and OP will be some fraction of ON. So ON is equal to OB plus a half BA. A half BA because N is the midpoint of BA. Now we don't have BA, but I can find it. I can find BA. BA is minus 6B because I'm going to go that way. So I need to go minus 6B to get to O. So it's minus 6B. And then I'm going to plus 8A because I'm going to add on the 8A. Minus 6B plus 8a. So that's BA. So ON, let's go back to ON. ON is equal to OB, which is 6b. It's OB plus a half BA. And a half BA is this. So it's a half minus 6b plus 8a, which is 6b minus 3b because I've half this, and plus 4a because I've half this, and that simplifies to 3b, or let's stick with a's first, 4a plus 3b. So that is ON. Also note, guys, I'm writing all over the place, but you guys, you're going to write down here. So that's ON. So now, once I have ON, I'm going to say OP is equal to some fraction of ON. So this is the tricky bit that I've done in previous questions. I said some fraction, let's go with lambda. Often we use the letters lambda and mu in vectors, guys. So it's some fraction lambda, that's OP, of ON, it's some fraction of ON, which means it's some fraction of 4a plus 3b, which means it's 4 lambda a plus 3 lambda b. Okay, that's OP. That's OP, my first method. Okay, second method is I'm gonna get OP, and I'm going to say it is equal to, let's try and fit it in here, guys. I'm going to say OP is equal to OM plus MP. Now MP, I don't know, and to get it, I need to first get MA, because it's some fraction of MA. So MA is a bit like BA. We go backwards, so we go minus 2b plus 8a, minus 2b plus 8a. That's MA. And MP is some fraction, I'm going to use the Greek letter mu. You can use any letter you want here, guys, but just get used to using lambda and mu, or T is another one they often use. So MP is mu times MA. Mu times MA. Some fraction, we don't know what it is, but we're going to equate them and find what that fraction is. So MP is mu times MA, which is mu times this, minus 2b plus 8a, which is equal to 8, I'll start with the A, 8 mu A minus 2 mu B. Now that's only MP. We still need to get OP. So OP is OM, which is 2B plus MP, which is this. So it's OM plus MP, and we have MP, it's this, it's 8 mu A minus 2 mu B. So I'm just going to put the A first. It's 8 mu A plus 2 minus 2 mu B. I've factorized out the B, so it's something A plus something B. Okay, now this is the next tricky bit. I equate the, let me pick a different color. I equate the A's, so these are the A's, 4 lambda and 8 mu, so they have to be equal because both of these are OP, and I'm going to equate the B's, so 3 lambda has to equal 2 minus 2 mu. Okay, so 4 lambda equals 8 mu. That's a nice one. Just divide both sides by 4. Lambda equals 2 mu. That's my first equation. My second equation is the B's. I'm going to equate them. 3 lambda equals 2 minus 2 mu. Now we know lambda is 2 mu, so let's swap lambda for 2 mu, which gives me 6 mu. Let's just do that. That's 6 mu equals 2 minus 2 mu. Add the 2 mu over here and I get 8 mu equals 2, or mu equals 2 over 8 or 1 over 4. So mu is 1 over 4, which means lambda, let's just write it here, therefore lambda equals 2 times mu, or 1/2. Okay, now once I have mu and lambda, I can sub these back into this. So OP, I can sub it into either, but this one's the easier one, guys. Let's stick with that. OP is 4 lambda A plus 3 lambda B. Sub in my lambda, which is 1/2, and I get 4 times 1/2 A, 4 times 1/2 A plus 3 times 1/2 B, which is 2A plus 3 over 2 B. And that's it. That's the right answer. So yeah, as I said, guys, that's really difficult. But if you want to get a 9, you need to know how to do it. And as I say, I've done now about 20 of these past papers, and I've seen this question, a very similar question. I think I've done maybe 5, maybe 4 or 5 of this type. Okay, question 23. And by the way, it was worth 5 marks. Okay, question 23. Here's the diagram. There's only one maximum point. It is this. The coordinates of this maximum are that. Fine. Write down the coordinates of the maximum point with equation this. So this is transformations, guys. This is an example of a question that I often tell my students that the later questions are hard, but they're not all hard. And this is actually easy. X plus 9, all you do is you move it left 9. So you subtract 9 from the x's. You leave the y's the same. So 5 minus 9 is -4. So this is -4, and the 7 stays the same. This one we just add 3. So we're going up 3 plus 3. So we just add 3 to the 7 and leave the 5 the same. 7 plus 3 is obviously 10. Okay, only 2 marks, guys, but that's a nice question for everyone. Okay, final question. This is worth 6 marks. No doubt it's hard. It's calculus. The curve C has equation this. A and B are constants. The point A with coordinates this lies on C. The gradient of the curve at A is 16. Find the y coordinate of the point on the curve whose x coordinate is 3. Okay, this is obviously very difficult, but let's do it. So there's an A and a B, guys. So my first thought is we're going to make 2 simultaneous equations and solve them and find A and B, and then sub in x is 3 and we'll get y. But first let's focus on finding 2 equations. We're going to get 2 equations, so we need 2 bits of information. They give us 2 bits of information. One of them is this, and the other is the gradient. So my 2 bits of information, let's highlight them. This is 1, and this is 2. So straight away, I can sub in the point. Let's do the point. The point one's the easier one. Sub in 2 minus 6. And you'll get a mark for this, guys. When I say sub in 2 minus 6, I mean x is 2, and y is minus 6. That's x, that's y. Okay, so y is minus 6 equals a times 2 cubed, ax cubed, plus b times 2 minus 12, sorry, 2 squared, b times 2 squared, minus 12 times 2 plus 6. Simplify this. Minus 6 equals 2 cubed is 8, so it's 8a, 2 squared is 4, plus 4b, minus 24, 12 times 2 is 24, plus 6. I might as well just make it all equal to 0, guys. So this is 0 equals 8a plus 4b. So I'm adding 6 to both sides. So it's minus 24 plus 6 is minus 18 plus another 6 is minus 12. And I might as well divide everything by 4. That makes things easier. Divide this by 4, I get 2a. Divide this by 4, I get b. And divide this by 4, I get 3. Okay, so that's my first equation. Right, my second equation, I'm going to get using the second thing that he said, which is the gradient equals 16, the gradient at that point. Now the gradient, guys, and this is how I know, or why I said it's calculus, because calculus is all about the gradient. When we differentiate, get the derivative, we are finding the gradient. So we are going to differentiate this thing. Differentiate this. Let's do that first. dy dx is differentiating, guys. Again, this will be worth another mark. And there's a rule. We can all do this. Everybody can differentiate this thing here. We multiply by 3, 3ax, and we subtract 1 from the power. Here we multiply by 2, 2bx. We subtract 1 from the power, so it's just to the power of 1, which means we just leave it as x. Here, minus 12x, we multiply by 1, which is minus 12, subtract 1 from the power, which is 0, x to the power of 0 is 1, 12x just becomes 12, or minus 12x becomes minus 12, and the 6 cancels because the derivative of a constant is 0. Okay, so now I have the derivative. Now it says at 2 minus 6, the derivative, or the gradient, is equal to 16. So that's probably another mark, guys, for recognizing this. So what I'm going to do, I don't need to worry about the y. I'm going to sub in the 2 for x. So I'm going to say 3a times 2 squared plus 2b times 2 minus 12 equals 16. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12a plus 4b. I may as well, guys, move everything to the left. So it's minus 12 minus 16, which is minus 28 equals 0. So I just subtracted 16 to this side, and minus 12 minus 16. Then again, I'm going to divide everything by 4, giving me 3a plus 1b minus 7 equals 0. Okay, that's equation 2. So already I'm probably on 4 marks, guys. Well, maybe 3 or 4 marks. Okay, but now I have my 2 equations. 2 equations means I can get 2. I can find my 2 unknowns. So let's start with this one. 3a plus b minus 7 equals 0. And I'll put this one underneath. 2a plus b minus 3 equals 0. I'm going to put a line underneath here. I'm going to subtract, because the signs are the same. 3a minus 2a is 1a. This is gone. Careful here. Minus 7 plus 3, because I'm minusing a negative 3. So minus 7 plus 3 is minus 4. So a minus 4 equals 0, which means a is equal to 4. If a is equal to 4, I'm going to sub a back into this equation. 2 times a here, but a is 4, plus b minus 3 equals 0. 8 plus b minus 3 equals 0. 8 minus 3 is 5. B plus 5 equals 0. B is equal to minus 5. Okay, now I have A and B, so I'm definitely on at least 4 marks out of the 6. So I have B, so I can now write y. So therefore, y is equal to ax cubed, but a is 4, so it's 4x cubed, plus bx squared, but b is minus 5, so I'm going to make it minus 5 x squared, minus 12x, that's just the same, plus 6. So that's just this with a and b subbed in. Finally, he says, as if this wasn't hard enough, he says, find the y-coordinate whose x-coordinate is 3. So, essentially, I need to sub in 3. So y is equal to 4 times 3 cubed, 4 times 3 cubed, minus 5 times 3 squared, minus 12 times 3, plus 6. Now, hopefully, guys, this gives me the right answer, and I may as well just do all this on my calculator. So it's 4 times 3 cubed minus 5 times 3 squared minus 12 times 3 plus 6, and I get 33, which thankfully is correct. So the y-coordinate is 33. So obviously, guys, very, very difficult question. It's supposed to be difficult. It's the last question, but see if you can, when you're in an exam, that's the whole paper, guys. When you're in an exam and there's a question like this, try and get some marks. If you just sub in the point, you'll get some marks. If you differentiate it, you'll get some marks. But that's it. Okay, guys, thank you, and we'll see you in the next paper.